card stacks next Friday. Let's fucking get it. Whole card, movies, come on. Stop playing, people. Look at this.
Right.
Look at this.
And there won't be much words being said in that ring except for punches being exchanged. And it's just a battle of the fittest, battle of the smartest, and the last man will be standing.
Breaking news is shaking the boxing world as Anthony Joshua's latest face-off leaves Jake Paul visibly stunned and unsettled. The sheer presence, confidence, and renewed build-up around Anthony Joshua make it clear he is operating on another level, while Jake Paul appears completely outmatched. Acknowledges that Joshua is a former world champion, and his repeated focus on pay-per-view numbers suggests nerves rather than real confidence. Anthony Joshua's experience already overshadows Paul, and from the very start this fight looks like a one-sided challenge, with Joshua firmly in control long before they ever step into the ring.
On Saturday night, I have a tough opponent in front of me. Everyone needs to get the pay-per-view, the zone, pull up, be there, but
Anthony Joshua sending Christmas cards along with warnings to Jake Paul is classic AJ, blending respect with a sharp psychological edge. It shows he's fully aware of the hype surrounding the fight, but remains completely unbothered and far from intimidated. Jake Paul may treat it like a joke or dismiss it as a gimmick, but Joshua's underlying message is unmistakable. He is calm, calculated, and fully prepared. Paul isn't stepping in with a YouTuber chasing attention. He's entering the ring with a genuine former world champion who understands the moment, controls the narrative, and knows exactly what's coming.
Heavyweight boxer, but let's be honest, you're just heavy. That's good. You never held a title belt, nor will you ever, but I'm happy to lend you one of mine to spank yourself with. I hear you're into that.
Eddie Hearn's words land with real impact. Anthony Joshua isn't just a powerful fighter. He's calculated, disciplined, and known for finishing opponents in decisive fashion. Comparing Jake Paul to Francis Ngannou only exposes the massive gap in skill, experience, and boxing intelligence. Paul may carry power, but Joshua's precision, ring awareness, and long history of dominating elite-level opponents make this a clear mismatch. Anyone expecting an easy night or a surprise outcome in Paul's favor is seriously mistaken, because this is a fight where experience, timing, and proven ability will ultimately separate fantasy from reality.
Everybody Pat Brown.
I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, "Oh well, it was Jake Paul." Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson.
Moses' take is brutally honest. Jake Paul may look decent against lesser opposition, but stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua is a completely different level altogether. Joshua's Olympic pedigree, world championship experience, and overwhelming power turn him into a mountain Paul is simply not built to climb. Luck will not save Jake in this fight, and hype won't bridge the gap either. Preparation and raw confidence alone cannot match the refined skill, discipline, and championship mindset of a former world champion like Anthony Joshua, making the reality of this matchup impossible to ignore.
I think he's a decent boxer, but you're not on the caliber of obviously.
David Hay perfectly captures the insanity of this matchup. Jake Paul is stepping into a world that exists far beyond YouTube fights and online hype. Anthony Joshua doesn't even need to force dominance, because one clean, serious punch could be enough to end the contest instantly. Paul's team may talk themselves into believing an upset is possible, but underestimating Joshua's focus, experience, and destructive power is a reckless gamble. The reality is that this level of danger is unfamiliar territory for Paul, and the consequences of misjudging a fighter like Anthony Joshua could be severe and unforgettable.
Do you think people are underestimating how dangerous this fight is?
My initial thoughts was this is craziness, this is madness, you know, Jake Paul's going to get hurt. As time's gone by, I'm starting thinking, okay, now that initial shock is gone and the fight is taking place, if I'm Jake Paul, why am I taking the fight? What's the point of me putting myself in such harm's way? If Anthony Joshua's ever going to fight terribly, it's going to be against someone he completely overlooks, someone he doesn't believe deserves to be in the ring with him. All it takes is one shot, and I think Jake Paul and his team believe what they've got is enough to somehow pull off one of the biggest upsets.
Roy Jones Jr. lays it bare without hesitation. Jake Paul is completely out of his depth. Anthony Joshua is a seasoned veteran and former world champion who understands exactly how to control, break down, and finish fights at the highest level. Paul may possess some skill and raw power, but against a fighter with Joshua's experience, ring intelligence, and ability to read situations in real time, he has no genuine chance of success. AJ's composure, timing, and championship instincts will expose Paul immediately, making the difference in class obvious from the opening moments.
Versus Jake, I mean, everyone's been calling for Jake to fight a real fighter. What do you think?
And Jake gonna fight a real fighter, and if the real fighter fights like a real fighter, then Jake gonna take a real nap. AJ, he showed you with Ngannou. He ain't one of these guys that just go pick out streets and say, oh, I'm gonna fight AJ. No. AJ is an Olympian. AJ is a former world champion. AJ is not two-time world champion. AJ is nothing to play with. So when you go in with AJ, have your mind right, cause if you can't take it, he gonna find out.
Were you surprised when you heard about that?
No, I was not.
So you think he's going to knock him out, though, AJ?
He's going to definitely knock him out. Because, I mean, don't get it wrong. Jake's smart, and Jake does have the power. If he can catch him first, he knows if he can catch AJ first, he can get AJ out. But he don't catch AJ first. Like Ngannou couldn't catch him first. AJ been boxing a long time. AJ better than they give him credit for.
Amir Khan perfectly explains the mismatch at the heart of this fight. Anthony Joshua has everything to gain and absolutely nothing to fear, while Jake Paul is the one risking serious damage, both physically and professionally. This isn't about entertainment or fun. It's about business, legacy, and reputation at the highest level of boxing. Paul's entire hope depends on landing one miracle punch, but Joshua's experience, defense, composure, and devastating power make that scenario extremely unlikely. In every measurable way, from skill and mindset to pedigree and execution, this fight is heavily stacked in favor of Anthony Joshua.
Knockout, brutal knockout. Nakisa is making a big mistake putting Jake Paul in a fight like this because he's gonna want to see him get hurt. I mean, these guys are going for the money, where really, you know, he has a life after boxing as well. Let's hope he comes out the ring in one piece.
Could I ask you individually, why are they doing this? So start with AJ. Why is he doing this?
AJ, if I was AJ, I'd do the same thing, because at the end of the day, you're fighting a YouTuber, and why not? I mean, getting paid millions and millions of pounds. And why is Jake doing? Jake's just doing it for probably the fan following. Maybe he wants to get the boxing audience. But look, who knows? I mean, anything can happen in boxing. One punch can change the fight, but I just don't think he has that one punch to change the fight.
Johnny Nelson is brutally straightforward in his assessment. Anthony Joshua possesses the skill, power, and ring IQ needed to completely dominate Jake Paul from the opening bell. There is no reason for Joshua to allow Paul anywhere near the later rounds, as AJ has the ability to control the pace, punish mistakes, and end the fight early if he chooses. The idea that Paul might survive deep into the contest is almost laughable. Nelson clearly highlights the mismatch, reminding fans that Joshua's championship-level experience is far beyond anything Paul has ever encountered. This fight is less about competition and more about a seasoned professional delivering a harsh and dangerous lesson, because the moment Paul steps into the ring, he is walking straight into a world-class storm.
All the way through. I keep saying it. I've thought about it. I'm like, you know what, AJ shouldn't let it.
Duke McKenzie's words serve as both a warning and a clear confirmation of Anthony Joshua's devastating power. If Joshua lands one clean, serious punch, Jake Paul could find himself in immediate and genuine danger, with the health risks impossible to ignore. Despite this, commercial pressure and business interests make the fight feel inevitable. Joshua's strength, refined technique, and deep championship experience ensure he is vastly superior in every meaningful area. This is not a typical matchup built on equal footing, but a calculated business-driven fight that overwhelmingly favors Joshua. McKenzie's concern highlights just how much risk Paul is taking by stepping into the ring. From a fan's perspective, it may be thrilling to watch, but the reality remains serious, as Anthony Joshua has the proven ability to end this fight at any moment.
Goes into this fight with Jake Paul on a serious level and catches Jake Paul with a serious punch, he will do far more damage than that. So from a health and safety perspective, I hope the fight doesn't happen, but from a commercial...
Derek Chisora nails the truth. This fight should be over before it even truly begins. Anthony Joshua doesn't need to force dominance. He will control the action from the opening bell. Jake Paul's attempts to make the contest competitive are purely wishful thinking. Joshua's experience, power, and discipline in the ring operate on an entirely different level, making the outcome highly predictable. Fans shouldn't expect a drawn-out dogfight. They should expect AJ to assert his dominance and reinforce exactly why he is a former world champion. Chisora's insight underscores the inevitability of Joshua asserting his authority early and leaving no doubt about his superiority.
And I think this should be laid to rest, because I don't think AJ's going to go in and try and pat. AJ's going to lie.
Adam Smith highlights a tactical nuance that adds depth to the matchup. Anthony Joshua could end the fight at any moment, but given his 14-month inactivity, he might pace himself strategically, controlling the rounds while preserving sharpness for future bouts. Jake Paul has no such advantage. Even with a measured, calculated approach, Joshua's dominance remains unquestionable, and Paul would be overpowered at every turn. Smith emphasizes that Joshua's experience allows him to balance aggression with preparation, leaving Paul almost no opportunity to land anything significant. Ultimately, this fight is a one-sided test of skill, where Joshua's expertise and control dictate every moment.
But will he want to win early? Will he want to get some rounds in, being inactive for 14 months to prepare him for 2020?
Sam Jones sums up the danger perfectly. Anthony Joshua's power is absolute, and if he lands clean, the consequences for Jake Paul could be catastrophic. Comparing it to Ngannou's knockout highlights the true level of threat. While fans might joke about Paul surviving, the reality is that Joshua's punches are fight-ending weapons. Paul's lack of elite experience leaves him extremely vulnerable, making this not a hypothetical scenario, but a real risk every time he steps into the ring with Joshua. Jones emphasizes that while the fight is a spectacle, it carries serious consequences, showcasing Joshua's devastating capability and Paul's extreme disadvantage.
Nobody wants any permanent damage to happen to Jake Paul, but if Anthony Joshua hits Jake Paul with the right hand he hit Francis Ngannou with,
Johnny Nelson brutally exposes the truth that everyone watching can see. The odds are overwhelmingly against Jake Paul, and anyone claiming otherwise is living in a fantasy. Fans are tuning in to watch a world-class fighter dominate a YouTuber trying to compete in a league far beyond his level. Anthony Joshua's experience, skill, and knockout power make this fight one-sided from the start. Nelson stresses that the spectacle is less about competition and more about Joshua asserting his authority, leaving no real threat from Paul. This mismatch highlights Joshua's dominance and Paul's naivety, setting the tone for the entire narrative of the fight.
You're going to watch this to see, most people watch this to see Jake Paul get his arse given.
Carl Froch paints a stark picture of just how devastating Anthony Joshua can be. One clean punch could end this fight decisively, underlining Joshua's clear superiority. Froch leaves no room for excuses or debate regarding Paul's chances, framing the matchup as nearly preordained. The contrast in class, power, and experience between a former world champion and a YouTuber is undeniable. Fans recognize that the spectacle will showcase Joshua's skill, while Paul risks exposure and humiliation. Froch's blunt assessment emphasizes the inevitability of a one-sided contest, with AJ dominating from the very first seconds.
AJ splatters fake Paul within a round. Within the first minute of the first round, the first punch, the first right hand that lands anywhere on the cranium of fake Paul, the fight is over. It's got to be. Like, you can't make an excuse either way. Does fake Paul think that AJ's that?
Frank Warren's analysis highlights the massive gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Joshua's Olympic pedigree, multiple world championships, and natural size make him an overwhelming favorite. Paul's lack of amateur experience and limited professional fights positions him as a dangerous underdog only in hype, not in reality. Warren emphasizes that this matchup is more spectacle than genuine competition. Joshua's experience, skill, and technical mastery will dictate the outcome, leaving Paul exposed. Fans can expect absolute dominance and a masterclass in professional boxing from Joshua as Paul steps into the deep end against a proven champion.
AJ will go in as a massive favourite, former two-time world champion, naturally a natural big heavyweight, gold medalist at Olympic Games against a guy who never had any amateur fights. What's he had, about 10 or 12 pro fights, been accused?
Roy Jones Jr. confirms what fans have long suspected. Anthony Joshua is set to knock out Jake Paul. While Paul may possess some power, his timing, experience, and ring IQ are nowhere near Joshua's level. Roy emphasizes that AJ's skill, discipline, and intelligence make him nearly impossible to surprise or catch off guard. Even a clever fighter like Paul cannot match Joshua's precision or professional composure. The commentary frames the fight as almost inevitable, with Paul's only hope existing in fantasy. Joshua's dominance and ability to neutralize any of Paul's attempts make it clear that this is a mismatch in every measurable aspect.
And Jake does have the power. If he can catch him first, he knows if he can catch AJ first, he can get AJ out. But he don't catch AJ first. Like Ngannou couldn't catch him.
Tony Bellew emphasizes the overwhelming physical advantage Anthony Joshua holds over Jake Paul. The differences in size, weight, and natural athleticism are enormous. Bellew's analysis underscores that Paul has virtually no realistic chance of withstanding Joshua's power or technical skill. Even with gloves on, the mismatch is glaring. Joshua's superiority isn't just technical, it's tangible and intimidating in every measurable way. Fans can see that Paul is stepping into a highly dangerous environment against a true champion. Bellew's perspective reinforces the narrative that Joshua will dominate both mentally and physically, leaving Paul fully exposed to the full force of a world-class boxer.
Maybe more, or 4 or 5 inches, and about 100 pounds heavier. You just don't go from there right up to there. I don't believe it. And I won't believe it until the two of them got 10-ounce gloves on in a boxing ring. Because if Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a box...
Deontay Wilder cuts straight to the heart of the matter. Jake Paul has never faced a true professional of Anthony Joshua's caliber. His previous bouts against entertainers or untested opponents were almost meaningless, and Wilder is skeptical about Paul's chances. Calling it scripted underscores the belief that this fight heavily favors AJ. Joshua's experience, preparation, and elite skill set make him vastly superior, and fans can expect the fight to unfold as a clear showcase of his dominance. Wilder's insight highlights that Paul is stepping into entirely unfamiliar territory, confronting the harsh reality of professional boxing against a former world champion.